students, welcome back. So we were discussing about the commercial cells. So we have seen that it is of three types, but two types we have already discussed. So let's see the third type, fuel cells. So fuel cells, as the name suggests, so here fuel is involved. Okay, so these are those cells in which energy is produced from the combustion of fuels. Okay, directly gets converted into electrical energy, and we know that what is combustion. Whenever any fuel is getting burned, like hydrocarbons, they also act as fuels. Then carbon dioxide is evolved, heat energy is evolved with light and light also, along with that light. So these are those cells which energy is produced from the combustion of fuels like you can say oxygen, hydrogen, etc. Okay, so let's see the hydrogen oxygen fuel cell, which is very important. Fine. So here we'll see what is anode, what is cathode. Okay, so let's see. So let's talk two things about this. This hydrogen oxygen fuel cells used in Apollo moonlights. Okay, and here like water is the product. Water is the product which is, you can say, used for drinking by astronauts. Astronauts in space. Astronauts. Fine. So let's see what is hydrogen oxygen fuel cell. Let's look at its diagram. Then we'll see its advantage and disadvantage all. Okay, so let's see. So it is, you can say, consists of two electrodes. Okay, these are the electrodes, porous electrodes made up of carbon. Okay, this is carbon anode and this is carbon cathode. Okay, and electrolyte, will be using electrolyte here. Between the two electrodes, electrolyte is present, that is KOH or NaOH. Fine. And these are connected. This is your carbon anode, so negatively charged. This is positively charged cathode. And from here, hydrogen and oxygen gases, they are bubbled, which are acting as a fuel. Okay, and this is here closed. And the water is the product from here. Okay, it's like so water is the product from here. Okay, which gets formed. This is the electrolyte. This will act as the electrolyte, and this is the porous carbon. Okay, which is filled with catalyst. This is also filled with catalyst, and from here oxygen gas is getting bubbled, and from here hydrogen gas is getting bubbled. Fine, so this is the whole structure of hydrogen oxygen fuel cell. So we'll see the reactions which are taking place. So this is the anode, this is the cathode made up of same material, that is carbon. So let's see the reactions. So at anode we have seen hydrogen gas is bubbled from that side at anode. So hydrogen gas will react with the electrolyte and gives you what? It's anode, so 2 electrons are getting lost. Okay, we'll balance this. 2H2O plus 4 electrons are getting lost and 4 water molecules as well. Fine. And at cathode, we know that oxygen gas is getting bubbled. So oxygen, it will accept these 4 electrons and 2 water molecules will provide 4 OH minus ion. And when you will see the overall reaction, this will get cancelled out. This will get cancelled out. You are left with the 2 hydrogen plus O2 gives you 4 minus 2 water molecules. So this is the overall reaction that water is getting produced. Fine. So this is your gas, this is your gas, water is liquid which is getting formed. So this is the overall reaction which is taking place inside the fuel cell. Very simple. Okay, at a node hydrogen we are bubbling from that side. So hydrogen will react with the electrolyte. From cathode oxygen we are bubbling. So it will react and then accordingly the reaction will take place. Fine. Then what's the voltage of this cell? Voltage it's produce E naught value, it's around 0.9 volt. Okay, so let's see its advantages. Now as all the, you can say, fuels, whatever the material what are the products that we are using, hydrogen, oxygen, they are gases. So its supply, it will keep on, you can say, continue. So this cell will never become dead. Okay, cell will never become dead because of continuous supply of gases. Okay. So let's see the advantages of the fuel cell. Advantages. First is that it's you can say its efficiency is good. That is around 60 to 70%. Okay, theoretically it is possible, it is expected that 100% efficiency is there, but practically only we are getting 60 to 70%, but can say more better than the thermal power plants. Okay, then secondly we are saying efficiency is high, then cell never become dead because of continuous supply of gases that we have seen. So its E naught value is 0.9 volt and it operates at a temperature around 70 to 140 degrees Celsius. And the third one is that they do not cause any pollution. Only gases are involved, do not cause any pollution, as if we see its thermodynamic efficiency. That is, efficiency is delta G by delta H. Delta G, we know that energy to do useful work, and delta H is the delta H, energy of heat combustion process. Okay, so it is around, the value is whatever is calculated experimentally. Delta G, we know that it's minus NF E naught cell, delta H, its value is 272 divided by 229 kilojoules and minus 242 kilojoules. Process is exothermic because the gases are involved. Okay, so the final answer is here 0.95 approx. So that is 95% is thermodynamic efficiency. Okay, this is the thermodynamic efficiency. According to thermodynamics, its efficiency is 95%. This is thermodynamic efficiency. So this is the symbol of this, that is thermodynamic efficiency. Fine, so these are the three advantages, that is Efficiency is good, never become dead, and do not cause any pollution. Fine. So it's 95% efficient according to thermodynamics. That's why do not cause any pollution. Now let's see these two advantages we have seen. Now few disadvantages are also there with respect to its structure. Okay. With respect to its construction, difficulties in the construction of fuel cell. Fuel cell that is faced during its you can say that it's related to its economic, technical issue. Okay, first is that it's very difficult to provide all the three phases together. As we have seen that electrolyte is liquid, catalyst that we are using, it's solid, and the gases that is we are using, it's a gas, hydrogen and oxygen, that are the products. So it's very difficult to provide all the three bases together and how to maintain. Okay, so this is one of the disadvantage. Then the second one is not easy to maintain gases at low temperature and high pressure. The next one is high cost of the catalyst, as catalysts are very expensive, as we have seen in nickel cadmium cells also. High cost of the catalyst involved. And the next one is, this is third, and the last one is corrosiveness of the electrolyte. Corrosiveness of the electrolyte. So this is all about the fuel cell. As we have seen, its advantages are there, so side by side disadvantages are also there, but then also we are using it. Fine. Okay, so let's see the next part. So as we have seen in all the cells, let's recall it, just what are the voltages. Then in dry cell, then in mercury cell, lead storage, nickel, cadmium, then fuel cell. Okay, E naught value, this is the cell. Dry cell, it was 1.25 to 1.50 volt. Here it was 1.35 volt constant. Here it was 12 volt, and here it was 1.40 volt, and here it is around 0.9 volt. So it is using that we are using in space and for the setting the generators and all. This is all about the commercial cells. Now the last topic of the chapter is left, that is corrosion. Corrosion, you all have studied what is corrosion, what is the meaning of that, but now here we will be relating with the electrochemistry. Okay, because in junior classes you have studied, okay, fine, corrosion is the metal is getting corroded, iron is getting corroded and all fine. But what is actually is happening? So what is the corrosion here? Corrosion, we know that it is the, as we know that the metals they are getting formed from the earth crust. So they also getting back after reacting with the or coming in contact with the atmosphere. So corrosion is the slowly, you can say the process of slowly eating. The process of slowly eating of metal when it comes in contact with the atmosphere. The process of slowly eating of metal when it comes in contact with the atmosphere, resulting in the formation of compounds. Resulting in the formation of various compounds like oxides, sulfides, etc. Carbonate, sulfate, so many are there. So whatever is present in atmosphere, so they will react with that and form the compounds. Okay, so it means metal is getting corroded. It's no longer remain in its pure form. So let's see, generally example that we'll take for rusting here in electrochemistry, that is rusting of iron. Others examples are also there. Tarnishing of silver, etc. Then green coating on copper and all these are examples of corrosion. So let's see the rusting of iron, as it's an electrochemical phenomenon. Let's see how. What is happening in the rusting of iron? That iron is coming in contact with the atmosphere, with the atmospheric gases, carbon dioxide and all. Fine. And it's an electrochemical phenomenon, rusting of iron. Iron is an electrochemical phenomenon. Let's see how. Okay. As all the reactions which are taking place according to oxidation and reduction process. So, you can say that whatever is present in the atmosphere, okay, like this on the water vapors which are present on the surface of the metal, it comes in contact with the carbon dioxide and oxygen of the atmosphere. What is the first step here? That the water vapors which is present on the surface of the metal, water vapors present on the surface of metal, it comes in contact with the atmospheric oxygen, carbon dioxide, and together they form carbonic acid. This is carbonic acid. Okay, now this carbonic acid, let's say this is the first reaction, it gets dissociated. It's slightly dissociated and produces H plus ion and CO3 2 ion. Similarly, water is also there. Water will also get dissociated in H plus and OH minus ion. Let's say this is second and this is third. Okay, now the iron which is present on the surface of the metal, it comes in contact with the dissolved oxygen or the carbon dioxide of the atmosphere, then it will lead to the formation of ferrous ion and 2 electrons are getting lost. And E0 oxidation for this is 0.44 volt. This is the, let's say this is the fourth reaction. Okay, so all these reactions first to fourth, from where we have started, that water vapors present in the surface of the metal, they will come in contact with the carbon dioxide of the atmosphere, they will form carbonic acid, it will slightly ionize, water will also ionize, and then iron will come in contact with the oxygen of the atmosphere and gets oxidized to the ferrous ions, and whose oxidation potential is 0.44 volt. So this one reaction is ready, that is which is taking place at anode. Okay, So all these reactions from first to fourth, the sites where all these reactions are taking place, that is known as anode. Okay, the sites where the reaction first to fourth are taking place is known as anode. Okay, now let's see the next one. Now see, if oxidation is taking place, then reduction also has to take place, then only it will be a redox reaction. So what will happen? The electrons lost by the iron which are taken up. Now the electrons which get lost during that process, those electrons will be taken up by the H plus ion which we have get from the ionization of carbonic acid. So those H plus ion, they will accept the electrons. This is from carbonic acid or water and form hydrogen. This is the fifth reaction. Okay, fifth reaction. Now these hydrogen atoms they will react from with the dissolved oxygen or the oxygen from the atmosphere. This is the dissolved one, or from atmosphere. It will form two molecules of water. Okay, this is the two molecules of water gets formed. Now multiply this equation, say this is the equation 6. Now multiply equation 5 by 4. Multiply equation 5 by 4 and then add 5 and 6. Let's see what we will get. We will get, and you will multiply, it will become 4H plus 4 electrons gives you 4H. Okay, then here 4H plus O2 gives you 2H2O. Add these two, you will get the reduction reaction from here. This will get cancelled out. No, sorry, this will not get cancelled out. It's the H plus and H. This is 4H plus and this is 4H. This will get cancelled out. Rest, it will remain as it is. 4H plus 4 electrons plus O2 gives you 2H2O. This is E naught reduction and value is 1.23 volt. Okay, now let's see the site where all these reaction has taken place are known as, say this is the reaction is 7th. Okay, the site where reaction 5th to 7th has taken place is known as cathode. Now we will try to get the overall reaction. Okay, now here we have got the reduction reaction. Now the dissolved oxygen, they take up electrons directly to form OH minus ion. Dissolved oxygen take up electron directly to form the dissolved ions. Okay, now we will add the equations 4th and the 7th one. Adding equation 4th and 7th, let's see what we will get. We will get the final reaction, as this is the reduction, that was the oxidation. So Fe plus 4H plus 4 electrons. 4 electrons, I think it will get cancel out when we will multiply that with, that was 2Fe here. So this will get cancelled out, 4H plus. Then you will get O2 here. Then 2Fe2 positive plus 2H2O and E naught value is here now. It will become 1.67 volt. This is E naught cell total reaction. Okay, so this is the final reaction that is taking place. Overall reaction of the rusting. Now, what will happen? The iron, that ferrous iron which we have got by the oxidation of the iron, these ferrous ions, they will get converted to its oxide by reacting with oxygen and forms ferric oxide. Fine. Now these ferric oxide, further it will get hydrated to form the hydrated rust. This is the hydrated ferric oxide known as rust. Okay, now ferrous has become ferric, Fe3 positive. Fine. So this is only happening and rust is getting formed. It's a non-sticking substance. Only it is just taking away the fresh layer of the metal, exposing its fresh layer. Fine. So this is the reaction which is taken place. This is the overall view, water droplet, and here the rust is getting formed. Rust, and here supply of oxygen is there. Not here actually, it's here. Okay, this is the rust which is getting formed, and here this is anode and this side it is cathode. Okay, the reaction which is taking place. So here the electron transfer will take place, anode and cathode. The reactions are O2 plus 4H plus 4 electrons, 2H2O, and then one more, O2 plus 2H2O plus 4OH minus 2 electrons, 4. So these are the, this is the overall view of the electrochemical phenomenon. That rusting is an electrochemical process. See how the reactions are taking place. And initially the solution which is getting formed, let's see, that is the electrolytic solution, electrolyte. That solution of carbonic acid which gets formed, that is the electrolytic solution. This we have seen initially. This is electrolytic solution. Fine. Now let's see the factors promoting corrosion. First is reactivity of metal, then presence of impurities, then electrolyte, and others are also there. So these are the different factors. Now let's talk about its prevention. How to prevent rusting. This you know, how to prevent corrosion from your junior classes. So let's see how to prevent corrosion. You know, by oiling. Your answers will be this only: by oiling, by painting. So these are the only methods, prevention of corrosion. That is, first is by oiling, that is greasing, etc. By painting, so that they do not come in contact with the atmospheric gases like CO2, O2, etc. So this kind of protection is known as barrier protection. Protecting from some barrier. Barrier protection. Secondly, like coating with the surface of the metal, with the surface of another metal. which is highly electropositive than that or very reactive than that. So that is your, you can say, electroplating. Then galvanization process, coating with zinc. So all these factors will come under sacrificial protection. Now what is sacrificial protection? Sacrificial protection is a protection in which the surface of the iron gets covered with the metal which is more electropositive than that, more reactive than that, like zinc. Then if we can take any other metal which do not get corroded. Here in electroplating we are taking that metal which do not get corroded, is like cadmium, nickel, zinc. But especially in galvanization we are taking that zinc so that it do not get corrode. Okay. Or you can say if it is getting corroded also, then zinc will get corrode, so it will preventing the iron so that it should not get corrode. So that's why we are taking, generally we are coating with that metal which is more electropositive than that of the iron. So all these are processes, and one more is there, that is if electricity is provided, electrical protection. If all the processes will take place with the help of electricity to increase its speed, then it will become an electrical protection. Electrical protection. So all these are the ways of preventing corrosion and all. Fine. So I hope I am clear till all the part, and you have seen that today you have learned the new concept, you have related. You were knowing it earlier, but now you have related the electrochemistry, that is rusting. So that you explain all the process that you have studied today. So this is all about your electrochemistry. Fine. So till then, thank you and have a nice day.